from Zombie Haiku. Good poetry for your brains by Ryan Meckham. Blood is really warm. It's like drinking hot chocolate, but with more screaming.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, and throw a few guest speakers in for some flavor. This is Mallory, the walking MP3 player, joined by my miracle-making BFF, Ariel.
Listen to my voice and witness the miracle that I am.
We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia, and Zach is patiently awaiting the arrival of our Supreme Overlord Carla in Seattle, Washington.
And when she arrives, we shall be more powerful than ever before.
Today we have Chase Robertson on, and we will be discussing his work and how much we love it. Chase?
I'm the guy that they're going to sacrifice to the Supreme Overlord. It's nice to be here.
That's great. Before we get into that, you can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You should totally follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a gander, which we have linked in our episode descriptions along with our personal Goodreads pages. Ariel, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Okay, so we are having Chase on. Like we said earlier, I've known Chase for about 13 years. I met him back when I was a youngin'.
A little baby.
A little baby. It was actually when I was pregnant with my first baby. Yep, so that makes us all feel old. So I got back in touch with Chase, I don't know, a few months ago or something like that. And he had told me that he had wrote some poetry books. And I knew that he wrote beforehand, but I was like, well, you tell me what they're called. And so I bought one, and they're fantastic. Like, I'm so impressed, literally, with your writing. It's amazing.
Definitely amazing.
Appreciate that.
All right. We have a few questions for you that we did not give you ahead of time, so good luck.
No pressure.
That's completely fine. The theater kid will come out in me, and I'll make up something.
Sounds good. Okay, so first question. Are you a reader? And if so, what is your favorite genre or your favorite book, or both?
Well, I am a reader. I've kind of cut back on the novels. I've started reading manga more just to try to catch up on everything, mostly because I like the pretty pictures. But my favorite genre has to be paranormal thriller. I'm a big fan of Dean Koontz and his Odd Thomas series.
Yeah.
Excellent book
That's the best
series.
one.
Excellent book series.
Excellent, yes. That's kind of like what got me wanting to write a novel, was reading that. That's it. I stopped answering.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. We're good.
Do you have a favorite book?
Any cookbook, really.
Cookbook?
Yeah, I like making food.
That's a great answer.
I like that answer.
That's fantastic. So how long have you been writing poetry?
It's not really a question I want to think about because it's been a very long time.
Fair.
Hi, welcome. This is the episode where everybody feels ancient.
I started writing poetry in 10th grade, so that would be 2006, to woo a girl that, well, I don't think she could read, so it didn't pan out well for me. But
I was going to ask if you got it.
yeah, but it led me to write. I've probably written, I'd say, over 700 pieces, and
wow.
Eventually I wanted to just kind of get that out because my writing was a little bit of something that people could relate to. I wanted to write something that people could feel and not look at it and be like, I don't know what none of this means. This is just words on a page. So I've been writing more and more with each passing year, and then eventually the poetry writing translated into wanting to write a novel, and I think I've done that pretty well so far.
Okay, so that kind of answered the next question. So I wanted to know how you write about things that you've never experienced. Like when I was reading The Positive Side of Negative Thoughts, you have a poem in here about miscarriage, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
And obviously, as a man, you have not experienced a miscarriage firsthand.
I have not. No.
So how do you do that?
I think that was another reason why I started writing poetry, was because I was able to take people's experiences just by them talking about it, whether they vented or was going into deep conversation about what made them tick, what about the situation made them feel good or bad or horrible or whatever the case may be. And my gift came from being able to translate that onto a page for anybody to do that. With a topic such as that, though, that's a very heavy topic. It's a very sensitive topic to some people. I had to find people that had experienced that. I had to ask them questions. That with topics like that, something that I can never experience myself, I kind of have to get an insider's perspective. I kind of have to ask them how they felt. How was it when they went into the doctor's office and they knew, that bad news was coming? And I had to be able to try and kind of translate that into something that everybody else could feel. It's not easy, but that is one of the pieces in that book that I'm the most proud of, because the people that I interviewed for it, when they read it, they said it brought back a lot of, the emotions, both good and bad, but that was good because that was the whole point. That's not something that you can ever really explain to somebody as how you feel during a time like that. The fact that I was able to kind of capture it a little bit made me feel pretty good. Ego was inflated a little bit, but that comes with the territory.
I was gonna say, I read that one, and I've never personally have experienced a miscarriage, but I cried reading it, because I have kids, so I can't even begin to imagine losing one. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was like, how? when I read it, I think I actually texted you, and I was like, how did you do this?
Yeah, I remember you texting me and being like, no, sir. You're a witch.
Yeah, that's about right.
So do you come up with the topics first and then try to go find somebody to interview, or is this something you've talked to the people and then you decide to try to translate it?
It's a little bit of both. Like with the first book, The Positive Side of Negative Thoughts, I kind of already had a bunch of poetry that fit within that topic. But with the miscarriage poem, that was something somebody had posted on Facebook, that it was I think it was National Miscarriage Awareness Month. And that gave me the idea. And it was something I've never written about. And it was something that I couldn't, experience. So it was a challenge to me as well. But I would say it's probably about 50-50. I can either think about it and just write it, or somebody inspires me to do it myself. So.
Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
I don't write poetry anymore, so
I don't think I ever have.
Oh, I did hardcore.
Yeah.
As an emo child in high school.
I will say that my poetry in high school was, I can't look at it now. If that tells you anything.
Is it cringy? I look at mine periodically and I'm like, oh, honey, let's not.
I thought it was great. That might be why it didn't get the girl, because it was just not as wonderful as I thought it was. But
no, we'll just say she couldn't read. Okay,
yeah.
That was it.
All right.
Not your fault at all.
No,
she just couldn't read.
Not at all.
Well, I'm from Clay County, so that's probably true.
There you go. No offense, Clay County listeners. I don't think we have any, but if we do,
think so either.
No offense. My ex-husband's from there, so I don't have the best.
Yeah, no.
It's fine. Anyways, so you have 2 poetry books that you've written and gotten published. Do you plan on writing any more, or are you just going to try to stick to novels? What are you going to do? Because you said you had 700 pieces, and I don't think that's half of this.
No. I have quite a bit left in the bag full of tricks. I do have a third one that I'm working on when I'm not currently editing the novels that I'm working on. I also do TikToks where I read my poetry, because people told me that I had a voice for radio. And so I've been doing that, trying to just kind of get it out there. So that way when the third one does come out, it can help the other 2, because I've already got some exposure. So there's a third one in the works. I kind of want to try to keep them themed. But the problem with that was the first 2 books kind of covered a lot of ground. So, but we're getting there. I couldn't give you a timeline. I would say probably summer of next year.
Okay, so we have the first book here, The Positive Side of Negative Thoughts. We will have it in the library. It has not been processed yet because my mom's been slacking.
Wow, talking
I'm just
trash
kidding.
while she's not
getting a
here.
degree.
She's not even here to defend herself.
I mean, you all know I would do this even if she was. Anyways, what is the second one called? I know I have it saved in my phone, but
It's called The Casualties of Life and Love.
that's it. Yes. Okay, so we will try to get that one in here too.
Oh, I actually got
Okay.
my first bad review on that one the other day.
Nuh-uh.
I did.
What was it?
The lady said she gave it 1 star, and told me that she feels like an elementary student could have written a better piece of literature.
OMG. Let's
Burn.
I was like, well, okay. I guess because it didn't rhyme.
That's so
I don't know.
rude.
Yeah, it wasn't even a criticism. She was just insulting me.
Yeah,
That's
you mean your poems don't
wow.
rhyme? That's the only kind of poetry that exists. That and
Yeah,
haikus, because you just have 5, then the 7.
Yes. So I just took it as with a grain of salt and kept going.
Well, you're better than me. I would have cried.
I would have been angry. I was like, what
I would have cried and I'd be like, I'm never writing again. I'm done.
So are both of these books self-published?
They are, yes.
Okay, cool. What was that process like?
It was actually really easy. I would say the hardest part is because I self-published through Amazon, and the hardest part is they have a certain format they want, and so you're gonna have to make sure that your entire book suits that format. With the 2 poetry books, they're only like less than 80 pages, so it wasn't too difficult. I'm planning on doing the same thing with my novel, which is closer to 350, so that's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. But I mean, the cover design, you can put anything you want on the back. The whole process gives you creative control. So it's actually, I would recommend it to anybody. I mean, especially if you're just starting off like I was. And you can, with that service, you can also order author copies for like $1 or so. Like it's nothing. And that's what I did for the first book was I ordered a bunch of copies myself and sold them to people that I knew before I put it on Amazon to try to get, the word out. And then with the second one, most people were like, well, I don't have PayPal account or I don't trust the internet. I get that. I got that one a lot. And, but then they were like, can I order it off of Amazon? And I was like, that's on the internet, but yeah, you can. So
Sure can.
Don't you know Amazon's special? You can trust it.
So then I was like, well,
Wow.
I'll just put both of them on there. So that way, if anybody wanted the first and the second one, they could have access to it.
I'm glad you did, because that's how I got mine.
Yeah.
I would have totally just ordered you one for, $1 or so and then sent it to you.
Well, I know, but that's not supporting you, so
It was.
there you go.
You were interested in the work, and I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to get it out there.
Let me support you. Now shush.
Shut up and take our money.
Take it!
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
See, that's the respect we deserve.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to your novels that you've wrote. I know that you have wrote a few. We have only read one. You've sent me 2 of them, but I've been very busy and haven't gotten the chance to read the second one that you sent me. So how many have you written in total?
4. The 3 are a trilogy. The one that you haven't read is the first one in the trilogy.
Yep, I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for you to read it, but then again, not really, because The Passing Tales of Death comes after that. So when I started learning more tricks of the trade, and I was reading a lot more when I was writing The Passing Tales of Death. So when you've already been kind of spoiled with, The Passing Tales, and now you're going to go back and read this one and be like, that's some hot garbage there.
Elementary school kids could write better than this.
Yeah, probably. And if
Wow.
that's the case, then I'm gonna hire elementary kids to ghostwrite all my stories from now on.
There you go.
But yeah, it's not as bad as I make it out to be. I don't ever highly think of my works.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were not thrilled with the fact that we were reading The Passing Tales of Death, and I was like, dude, this is amazing.
So good.
Mostly because I was nervous because it still needed edited, and that was my baby. Like that one took me, I think, 3.5 years to write, just because of life and everything else that went on. And so I put my heart and soul into that one, and then to let people such as yourselves who are, book critics, and you think very highly or very lowly of books as they come. I was just waiting. I was like, well, it's out there. Here it comes. And when they tell me that children can write better books, then I'll just have to accept it and never write again. So yeah, but I'm glad you read it. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that, you got something from it. That was kind of how I wanted it to be, was something that it's there for everybody. And, I guess we'll see.
Well, I thought it was fantastic.
I did.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good.
Loved death. And which because I texted you through the entire book. I was like, oh my God, I love him so much.
Yes, and I wanted him to be relatable. I didn't want him to be something that people are like, I don't want to read about this thing, because it's a sensitive subject and some people don't have good interactions with it. But I kind of wanted to change that a little bit and make him a little bit human.
Yeah, there was actually times where I was reading and I was like, this reminds me of Chase. So did you base him off of yourself? Because there was quite a few times when I was like reading that and I was taking notes, I was like, this is Chase. This is Chase right here. Chase would say this.
I will admit that I did pull from my characteristics a little bit to put into death, because actually when I started writing the book, I was in a very dark place and I kind of wanted to give myself a little bit of purpose. And I felt like if I could write myself at least a little bit into a book, that I had to stay alive long enough to finish the book. And so I figured, well, I can't die if I'm death. So
true story.
So it was a little bit self-inspiration. It was a little bit, I'm going to make myself this cool character. I mean, not really, because it's not me, but I'm going to put myself in there. And I think it worked out pretty well.
Well, from knowing you, I can say that you did very well with making death be based off of you. Because there's, definite points where I was like, yeah, that's who this is. Which also was kind of like, I'm in love with death. So I was like, I gotta separate that in my head. I'm not in love with you, Chase. But your character would marry death in a heartbeat.
That just speaks to my ability, and I appreciate that.
Do you think it was harder to write the novels, than it was to write any of your poetry books?
Very. The difficulty in the two are just vast. To write a book about death and how he hates his job and wants to be a little bit more human was far more challenging, because the poetry that I write is either something I've experienced, something that I've watched someone else experience, or something that I know a vast majority of people can relate. So I can channel that and just write. Poetry doesn't have to be, super edited. It doesn't have to be, it just has to convey emotion. It has to get a point across. Taking an entity such as death and making him relatable to people, that was probably the biggest challenge. Like, you see all these little memes and stuff like death coming for people, and he's a little bit, I don't really want to take you, but it's kind of my job, People are like, oh, I wish death was actually like that. I was like, okay, I'm going to take that. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to make it into a challenge and see where it goes. So to me, poetry, since I've been doing it for so long, kind of comes natural. I can write a poem about anything, not on the spot. Please don't ask.
Right now, give us one.
To plan out, what I want death to do, who I want him to meet, what I want him to get, out of that is, I could write 10 poetry books in the time it took me to write one Passing Tales, which, funny enough, Passing Tales of Death is actually 2 books in one. When you get to the companion accounts, that was actually going to be book 2, but I felt like the book wasn't long enough to kind of get what I wanted to get it across, so I just merged them.
Yeah, I think that was a good choice.
Yeah. I'm going to follow up because you kind of hinted at it. What made you want to write Passing Tales of Death?
Well, I was given some pretty unfortunate news about 3 years ago that my mother was going to pass away from congestive heart failure. They told her she had a year to live. And so when I started writing it, it was kind of my way of coping with that. That throughout my entire life, my mom has had so many brush-ins with death. Like, there's probably at least 15 times where she's just almost died. And so I've kind of had interactions with that all throughout my life. And then once the doctors were like, hey, this is the reality, it's going to set in, I had to do something to kind of just deal with pain and kind of prepare myself. And so I figured if I could create something that would allow me to do that, which is kind of why I put a little bit of myself in death, so that way there was that connection. It was easier for me to deal with it when the time did come, that I felt like I could at least read it. And my mom's actually in the book. She's Rebecca at the end of the Passing Tales. And it was something that I wanted.
I'm not okay now.
Yeah, I wore makeup today. I'm really upset about this.
But it was kind of like me just planning for the future, because if the inevitable happened, I would have that at least to like look back on and be, okay, I'm gonna be fine. If death, the omnipresent, can survive his shortcomings and stuff, and so.
Well, that was heavy.
Yeah, I really thought you were going to say I saw, some of those comics about Death, like, not wanting to do his job. And
I'm so sad now.
Yeah, I really thought that was where we were going. Oh. I'm very sorry.
I wrote it on a whim, and we'll go with that. Sorry.
Oh, man.
No, that's a fantastic, yeah.
It's a beautiful reason to write something, but oh, my heart.
Yeah.
Your mom's still alive, though, isn't she?
Yes, she actually made a turnaround. She got on the right medications. She's still living on borrowed time, but we're just taking it one day at a time now.
That's good. Has she read this book?
She has. She has it on her TV stand right next to the TV. She got the very first copy when it was written.
That's so sweet. Aw. Did she like it?
Yeah, she loved it. And
Okay. I was gonna say, is she like, yeah, this is trash?
Well, she didn't even know that the Rebecca in the book was her until after she read it and told her. So that was that was a nice little, because I didn't want her going in biased and being like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm in this.
Yeah,
that's definitely what I would have been like.
Yeah, she'd be like, oh, this book's great, even if it's garbage, because I'm in it. So I waited until I got her honest opinion and then told her.
Yeah.
So your mom has the same mentality as me, is what I'm getting.
Yes.
Are there any other characters in the book that are based on people you know?
Yes, actually. It was. I don't think the version that you two got, I actually went through and I'm, in the process of editing. And do you remember the character Gerald Wilson?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was loosely based on a friend of mine, but that friend of mine passed away in April. So I went back and made it more about him. I turned him, yes. So he is now Cody Mullins. He was the firefighter that died in fighting forest fires. I made that tribute to him now. So he's in the book. Quintavious Twine, the football player that's in a coma, he was actually my roommate in college. He was the first person to kind of help me out after my divorce when I was homeless and didn't have a job. He had a barber shop set up in his house, and he took the whole thing down for me so I'd have a place to stay. And so I wanted to make sure he got his due diligence in my book, because he was kind of an important part in my life, mostly because he kept me alive during those very dark times. So there's quite a few characters in there that are kind of linked to people in my life, but mostly it's all the characters that people actually like Jeffrey Clay, the one that nobody likes because he was a very terrible person. That's not based on anybody I know.
Yeah.
I really hated him. I really hated him.
Listen, I made myself mad writing him because I was like, you're just a piece of garbage, but you got to be here, I guess. So
I hated him so much. Like, I got so angry, and then when all the crap that happened to him, I was like, I was like, he's the worst.
See, he did it. He did his purpose. He made you feel something, and that something was anger. So I feel bad if anybody reads it in your drywall.
Rage is what I felt.
Rage. Okay, rage is fine. I'll take it.
You don't understand. I was so mad.
We're a little bit emotionally irrational over here.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my target audience.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when do you think that you're going to get this book published?
The goal before I bought a house and had big boy bills was end of the year. It will still be probably about the end of the year when I get it fully edited and I have the money to
Look, Christmas present.
I still need to have a cover made and all that good jazz. But the goal is end of the year, at the very latest, January 2024.
That's exciting.
I can't wait.
Oh, and there's a sequel actually being outlined now. It's called The Welcoming
He
Tales.
told me about this, and I was so excited.
It's called The Welcoming Tales of Life, and it's from Life's perspective. It's not the same
I was
story.
like, is death in it?
Goosebumps.
I was like,
It's
is
not the
death
same
in it?
story,
He's like,
but it's from her perspective. I'm pretty excited to write
That's
it.
really awesome.
Oh, before I forget, we were told by Carla that you had better choose ending 1.
Yes, everybody has told me to choose ending 1.
I asked her before she left.
That was an experimental thing. I kind of wanted to see how it played out with the test readers that I have. And it did not play out well. They all chose ending 1 and told me to just not ever do that again. So
Yep, basically. Like, literally, I was like, is there any questions you want us to ask him since you won't be here?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, just tell him he better choose number 1. And I was like, okay.
yeah, there was no question. There wasn't one person, and I probably had about 10, 15 readers that was like, no, pick ending 1. Ending 1's always. I'm like, all right, so that's what we're doing.
Good. That was the better one.
Anybody that test read, and since you guys read it and you've given me feedback, you'll all be receiving an autographed copy when it comes out.
Oh, wow.
man.
I want mine personalized, though. Just throwing that out there. Personalize it.
To Ariel,
Or
she yells
I'll
at me a
figure
lot.
out. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's
I was
something.
going to say, I will come to your house. I'll figure out your address. I'll come to your house and be like, fix this.
Oh my God.
That's completely fine. If you go through the trouble of finding my house, you go right ahead.
I will.
So,
That's
have you tried sending this? Are you determined on staying self-published, or have you tried sending it around to different publishers or agents or anything?
This one, I'm actually thinking about, with Passing Tales of Death, I'm thinking about sending it around first before I fully publish it on Amazon, because I don't know if me self-publishing will hurt my chances before I do it, but knowing the luck that I have, they'd be like, oh yeah, we would love to publish this for you, give you $1 bajillion, but you already put it on Amazon, so that sucks for you.
I felt that in my soul.
So yes, this one, because just the reviews that it's gotten and the way people have, received it, I think this one would probably be my best chance at anybody picking it up as of right now anyway. So I do hope to go the traditional. I want to be on shelves in Books A Millions and clearance racks at Walmart. Anybody that wants to read it can get it. So
That'd be great.
Yeah.
it would be.
I really, really did love this. It's
So good.
well thought out, and the premise was amazing.
Like, I did not feel like a first draft to me.
No.
That makes me feel good because it was very much the first.
I mean, there, like, reading it, obviously there was some like editing mistakes and whatnot, but the way the story just flowed, and you had so much thought and everything like that, and you could see that you had all these thoughts and you had all these characters developed so well that it just didn't feel like a first draft. Like, I know how I write. So my first draft would be like, I don't know, preschooler writing something.
Bouncy.
Yeah. There was a dog. He had a ball.
But first there was a cat, too.
Oh, yeah, there was a cat. See, that's me. That's my writing.
Yeah, this was, I think a lot of that detail orientation was due to like the situation that I was in. And I just wanted to make sure that, because I didn't think I was ever going to have people read it or even publish it for that matter. But the more I got into it, the more I realized that, hey, this is actually pretty good. So then it just went from there. Like, I got even more hyper focused. I started fleshing out characters before I even started writing them. Like, I knew everything about each one of them, and then it just exploded, and little bits of amazing went everywhere.
Little bits of amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
That's going on a shirt.
Yeah, that's your shirt.
You will get a shirt, so we will need your address so we can mail it to you.
How crafty of you.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that. Like, I'm going to find your address. I'm going to find you. Oh, by the way, we need your address to send you something. Mm-hmm.
You get a shirt.
Purely
You
business.
sure you don't work? Yeah, you sure you don't work for the government? Because that sounded awful.
You'll never know.
Yeah,
You'll never know.
I probably don't want to know, because the less I know, the better.
I'd have to kill you otherwise. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what made you go from death transporting characters to the door to death being able to talk to people who were in comas or, what have you, where they weren't actually dead yet?
Well, I knew I needed something compelling for the second part, for the companion's account, because I wanted to write a second part. It was actually going to be a trilogy between Passing Tales of Death, the companion accounts, and then the Welcoming Tales of Life. But, like I said, I figured that the companion accounts and the Passing Tales of Death put together in one book was probably going to do more for my purpose than trying to stretch it out and have people read 3 books when they can get everything they need from 2 books. But I needed something, and them coming and going to the door, that was fine. I liked that, but in the first book, I tried to make it like a mystery, like nobody really knows what's behind the door. So I was like, well, I can't just have them coming through the door because that wouldn't make any sense. So that was when I developed the corridor. So it was kind of just like a waiting room, because when you're in a coma, you're there, but you're not there. And if you're going to be able to see, death, I'd say that's probably about the perfect time to do it. And so I needed a way to incorporate that into the book. So when Death had his meeting with Omega, I saw the perfect opportunity to kind of add that in. And I think it played pretty well into the progression of who he is and who he becomes. And honestly, like the coma idea came from, I think I don't remember what I was watching, but I watched a video and somebody was in a coma. And they were talking about, how they could hear everybody around them, but they couldn't do anything about it. And so I was like, that would actually serve pretty well, because then they can learn their lesson. They can get, whatever advice from death. They can make life-altering decisions for when they do come out. So I just needed a different element to the story, because I feel like if I just kept pushing the door, that would have gotten a little bit redundant.
I like the corridor.
No, that makes sense.
I like them having that, ability to, comprehend what's happening to them and make, a choice to do better or to change their life or, whatever you're going to do. But I like that. Though, the trans girl and her dad. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh. I was so ready for him to die. I was like, get him out. Mm-hmm. Get him out. Shove him through that door.
She's like, I'm ready for anybody that's a douche to just die. That was your basic premise.
Yeah, basically. So, your character at the end, the horseman that wasn't a horseman, what's their name?
Misery?
Yeah, that one. I felt so bad for her. I was like, at first I was like, oh, she's scary. She's scary. But then, after, you kind of figured out why she was that way, I was like, this poor baby.
That's like a tragic backstory type deal.
Oh, I felt so bad. And I was like, no wonder she was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have taken, a page out of Attack on Titan. Do you root for Eren because of the stuff he's been through, or do you root against him because of what he's doing? And you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be on her page or be against her, but you know what? I'm just here for it. So let's see how it plays out.
I rooted for her.
I love stuff like that.
After I heard what happened to her, I was like, okay, I get why she is what she is. Yeah. And then I don't want to give it away, but what Death did for her, I was so pleased with that. I was so happy. I'm pretty sure I cried. I know I cried.
I definitely did.
I was like, oh,
picking the punishment for her. I probably had a list of 35 items of what I wanted, and I took maybe a day or so and wrote a little bit on each one to kind of get a feel of what I wanted to happen. And nothing really hit home until I wrote that one, and I was like, well, I don't even need to write anything else. This is it.
It was good. That was a really, really good one.
So I really liked that one. I was pretty proud of that. I had so many moments where I'd be asleep and I'd wake up and I'm like, I need to write that, and I would run up to the office and turn on my super bright light and type away, because I would remember all these things, but then I wouldn't be able to remember them in the morning. And they were good ideas, but it was just my brain is smooth most days. So I just had to do what I had to do to get my ideas on paper.
Oh my gosh. Well, Zach, you haven't talked much. You got any questions?
I've asked some questions. I mean, most of Actually, I did have one. Not about this book in particular. You haven't published the other books, have you? Just the poetry ones. You've only done those and not any of your trilogy that you've been talking about?
Correct. Those are on in line next to be edited and kind of like brought up to my level of writing before I start pushing them out for test readers. And Ariel got a copy because she was like, "Do you have anything else? I'm just trying to read all of it." And I was like,
way to expose me.
I was like, "Here's some stuff. If you want to read it, it's not polished." She's like, "I don't care. Give it here." So
we're not surprised. Don't even.
I know. Actually, I read the first few pages and I liked it, but I just haven't got a chance to sit down and actually read it because I'm in school and the kids are in school and I work, so I am busy all the time.
Hey, take your time. It'll come when it comes. Now, I have a question for you all. My biggest challenge in writing this book was the fight scenes, because I wrote poetry. There's no fighting in poetry. So I need to know.
Well, obviously you haven't taken part of poetry battles back in the medieval times.
Actually, I did win a poetry slam once. I have a trophy here somewhere.
See, there you go.
But I didn't have to physically fight anybody.
Yeah.
But my question is, was it vivid enough? Could you imagine it? Like, was it subpar? Just whatever you got.
I think I'd have to reread that section again, but I remember my first instinct when I was reading was like, this sounds kind of anime.
Oh yeah, very much
See, that's what I told him. I was like, this feels very Dragon Ball-esque.
That's I exactly thought Dragon Ball as well. I was like, this feels kind of Dragon Ball.
And I liked it. I thought it went well with the fact that they are essentially supernatural entities. So
yeah.
See, I don't watch any of that stuff, so that never crossed my mind. So, for me, it was just like, yeah, I mean,
she's not a nerd.
It's a different existence, so why? Yeah.
I remember it reading pretty well when I was reading it. But that was the first thought I had was like, it sounds kind of anime to me.
Yes.
I'd have to reread it, though, to get like a good solid understanding. But yeah, I was able to see what was happening.
Good. That was because as I was writing, I was like, we're going to throw it out there and see what happens. So that's good. I'm glad that it turned out well, because I can write him, fighting his emotional battles. But then when it came to actual physical battles, well, So that's good. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys when he got on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say, though, I think that it's something, if you didn't want to do actual physical battles, where you could come up with something different, since they are these, weird supernatural beings where they don't actually have to make contact with each other. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. But when I was reading it, was like, it could be done slightly differently, I feel. Or just differently.
No, I agree, because I didn't at first want to make them fight. I kind of wanted them to do something, that was kind of just specific to them. Like, this is how they settle things in this realm. Mm-hmm. But the smooth brain came into play, and I was like, yeah, we'll just make them fight. I'm a barbarian, so.
I mean, it worked. It worked.
So who is your favorite character other than Death?
I'm going to have to go with Life.
I didn't like her.
You didn't like her?
I didn't like her that much. I didn't hate her, but I just felt like...
That'll change with the second book.
I felt like she did Death wrong, and I love Death, so I'm coming back for him,
So it's not who she is or who she was. It was what she did.
No.
Okay. That's fair.
You changed my mind with the next one, and then that'll be the show that you could actually write. If you make me like her.
Okay. Challenge accepted on August 30th. All right, I will change your mind about Life, because actually the way I have her planned out, she's nothing like she is in...
Well, that's cheating.
I kind of feel like she would be, though, because really you're only seeing her from his point of view.
I know,
but I
was hurt by her. So.
No, I know, I get it. I really get it, and
you don't hurt.
That's
you
exciting
don't hurt
to know that the next one is from her perspective. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm pumped about that.
I am too, and I think with the way that the first one ends, when he's like, I'm going to tell you the story. That's going to kind of open her eyes, and I'm going to, it'll all be in the second book. But yeah, that was kind of the direction I wanted to go with her. I kind of wanted to make her in the middle of the road, the first book, because I want people to be like, oh, well, I didn't really have too much of an opinion or a negative opinion, and I kind of want to try to see if I can change that with the second one. So.
Good luck.
It's a tall order.
I get set in my ways, man.
That's fine. That's fine. I might write her perfectly and you still not like her, and that's fine. That's just, you're
Maybe.
entitled.
It really, truly depends on how I feel she treats death. That's what's going to be. I could like her a lot, and then she does something to him, and he's like, you can tell that he's upset, and I'm going to be like, nope, we're done.
Lady.
We are done. You know who I liked? I liked War.
I liked War. He was, well, I'm not going to spoil it.
He needed a hug. Yeah. He needed a hug.
I feel like most of them do.
Dude, I feel really bad for, was it Pestilence? Was that the one I was like, texting you about?
Yeah, it was Pestilence.
I don't want to give it away. I don't want to say what happened.
No.
But that one bothered me. Because I was like, poor baby.
I felt for all of them. They were created, and then it's like, I don't like that.
The only
anymore.
characters that I hated were humans.
Yeah.
Well,
That's fair.
I'm not going to say that was a message, Rick.
I hate people anyway, so this is not surprising. So I did write a review for this, so I will share that on our Ruffian page.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's a good idea.
He wanted a review, and I was like, okay. And then, I screenshot and sent it to him, so I will definitely post the screenshots on the Ruffian page when this one comes out. Mm-hmm. So you should write one, too. And Zach, you also...
Yeah, I will do that for sure. That's a really
What, write
idea.
a review?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
He's ever responded.
Yeah, no, I'll write a review. Be like, is I...
It was at least middle school writing.
It was at least middle school.
As long as you just don't insult me the whole time, that's fine.
No. I enjoyed it. I have thoughts, but I enjoyed it overall.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Okay, we have not given a synopsis for your novel. Do you want to give one? So people listening can be like,
probably a
this
non-spoilery synopsis.
Yeah, no spoilers. We've been very careful about that, I think.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So the whole book, it just ends like that. My book, The Passing Tales of Death, is about Death himself and how in the beginning he hates his job. He does not feel that he is any way, shape, or form, using all of his potential. And he starts to become curious about humanity and all the living beings, and he begins interacting with them. And the more he interacts with them, he starts becoming a little bit more humanized, and that allows him to deal with things of his mistakes and tribulations of his own past. And it's a fun read, and I hope everybody gets something out of it.
That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
It was great.
Dude, I don't think I could do it. Like, if somebody was like, give me a synopsis or something, my brain would just like, it'd be like that buffering symbol.
I've forgotten every word I've ever known.
That's me. It's like when people are like, so what do you like? And you're like,
Nothing.
I don't like anything at all.
I have none.
Usually I'm like, going to the bathroom by myself.
I don't know. I hear your synopsis, Ariel, and they're like 15, 20 minutes long, and it's the entire book with all the details. And then you're like,
so bad.
and it makes no sense. And then I'm pretty sure you spoiled the whole thing. And then you're like, oh no, this is only the first 10 pages of the book.
That's true.
Every time.
I can't. Like, you could not have me make a synopsis for his book. Not at all. I'd be like, yeah, this is what happens. Yeah. And they'd be like, so you ruined the book for me. And I'm like, no, that's just the first chapter.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's like, it's a major plot point. She's like,
I just don't trust it.
It's fine.
I'm so bad at like Scythe.
Yeah.
I described that one and my mom was like, I'm never reading this. And then she loved it when she finally did. I'm just really bad at describing books.
It is pretty bad.
And I'm like so passionate about it too. I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. You have to read this book. Yeah. And then the people are like, you are a psychopath.
My problem about describing books is my ADHD just takes over. It's like, you have to tell them all the things.
Yeah.
You can't.
Side quests everywhere.
Well, this really cool thing happened. And there was this conversation. Oh my gosh, you would love it. Like, who cares?
Like you made the Kiss of Deception.
Yeah.
Sounds so freaking good.
I don't care what you guys say. It was like,
And It was subpar.
It was so good, but I did binge them. So it's like the whole story all together.
Maybe the trilogy. It's a trilogy, right? Maybe the trilogy is good. The first book,
whatever. Y'all are wild. You like horror books? I don't even want to hear it from either of you.
I love horror
Weirdos.
books. I can't wait for the last
Spoilers.
one. Oh,
all
God.
people died in those books, so just so you know.
Yeah.
Wait, in horror books?
Yeah, in horror books.
Nah.
Uh-huh.
No. I just read one, and everybody but one person died. So there you go.
Well, somebody died.
Okay, so
There
somebody
you
still
go.
died. And if nobody dies,
You
it's
said
probably...
everybody. You said everybody, and one person survived.
Okay. My bad. Technicalities here. Hey, that's a...
only most people die.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well,
It's a
you know what?
little-
I'm gonna write a horror book one day and just make sure put at the end. Nobody died because Ariel made fun of me that one time. So
Do it.
I won't read it, but I'll still support you.
I will. What if I disguise it as not a horror book? So
Do that for sure. No, don't even tell us about it. Just
Don't
be
tell-
like, hey,
you won't
I got a
be able to
new
tell me
first
about it. Yeah.
draft. Can you all read this? And she'll be like, yes. And I'll be like,
And I'll get like 10 pages in and be like, I've been tricked. And then I'll throw it away.
no, because I'll be like, no, you got to get to this part. It gets really
I
good.
won't believe you at that point. You'll have to like just put it like way in the back of the book, honestly. Just be like the whole time this was a nightmare, and then surprise it's real.
She's really, really not into possession. So, just.
okay.
Mm-mm.
So no
Throw some
possession.
cannibalism in there.
No. I don't joke with that. That stuff.
Throw cannibalism in there because apparently that's my thing.
She does. She reads too many cannibalism books. It's a little bit concerning at this point.
I mean, people are tasty from what I hear.
They were the long pigs. I really like pork.
Oh, God.
Okay, now that we
This
are
took a
somewhat
turn.
off track,
Oh my.
we can never keep on track.
No,
I
we really
swear.
can't.
Anyways, so yeah, do we have any final thoughts for Chase or questions for Chase?
I have a brief one. You said you've been reading some manga recently. What you been reading?
I just finished up all of Dragon Ball Super. I'm starting on Black Butler, and my neighbor gave me one that I'm starting that says it's called All Will Be Cats, and it's about a zombie apocalypse, but all the zombie
Dang.
cats.
I'm
That sounds fire.
Awesome!
Not gonna lie, that sounds fire.
I was
You need to
almost
send me
with
that title.
until you said zombies. I was almost there.
No, you
It's
don't turn
probably
into a zombie.
adorable.
You just turn into a cat.
Okay, wait, what is it called again?
All will be cats.
All will be cats.
I'm looking it up on Goodreads.
That's funny.
It's not, I don't see it.
I got a whole list of manga that I'm trying to read, and well, for actual books though, I started reading the Harry Dresden Files.
Really? What book are you on?
That's our husband.
I'm on the first. I know. I've listened to the podcast.
That's probably the longest like inhale of breath we've ever had.
I know. I thought my computer froze the way you guys were all looking at me. You're like,
Everything stopped.
Oh, I wish we had recorded ourselves today.
Harry?
What?
So you say you're on the first book?
I'm on the first book, and it's pretty good so far. I can't remember the name of it because I don't remember the
Stormfront.
thing.
Stormfront.
Stormfront, yeah.
The
that's
best
it.
one of the early books, I think, is Deadbeat number 7.
Deadbeat number 7. That sounds like a
You
perfect.
said the worst
it's number
one?
7 called Deadbeat.
Oh.
What, did you say that was the worst one?
No, best one.
What'd you say?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Of
I was
the
like,
first-
they literally
I
only
was-
get better from the first
I
one.
was
What
about
are
to
you
say,
talking
I'm
about?
No,
gonna
I mean everybody
fight you.
loves changes. I don't like changes that much.
No, that one hurt a lot.
That one's
No,
book 12.
We don't talk about that one. We don't talk about that one.
But no, Deadbeat's really good.
Okay, Deadbeat. Oh,
Yeah, just got to read the first 6 and then you'll get there.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm a patient man, so
They're very good books. Though.
We also highly recommend listening to them. James Marsters is amazing.
Oh yeah, he's the bomb.
Fantastic. Yeah,
oh yeah,
The best.
I could listen to him all day. So
I love that man.
Anyway, that's all I've got personally. Did you guys have anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
I think I'm good. Do you have any questions or thoughts for us?
nope, this has been a blast, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, man. It's been fantastic having you.
Do you want to plug in your little socials and stuff like that so people can go listen to your poetry or whatever?
Shameless plugs.
I mean, if I was hoping it'd be shameful, whatever.
I mean, well, we can shame you.
That's fine. Like, we are pros at shaming. So.
I have a TikTok and I have an Instagram. Instagram, I kind of post like pictures and I'll write captions according to what the picture is. And then TikTok is me listening to myself talk about poetry and reading poetry. My wife has also convinced me to read spicy content in there. So that's been a journey.
I'll bet.
I was fine until you said that's been a journey.
That's been a journey. So I've been doing that.
I can imagine.
Listen, you don't have to. It's on TikTok. But both of those are at the bow tie narrative, all one word. Because I used to wear a bow tie a lot when I did my stuff, and now I don't because they choke me, which is not a bad.
But they were so cute.
Yeah,
I love a bow tie.
Yep.
So there's my shameless plug.
All right. Well, I think we're good then.
Okay. We want to thank you guys for coming on and listening with us today. Chase, thank you for coming. We are so excited to have you here finally. And our next episode, we will look into Zach's nonfiction pick, which is Terry Pratchett, A Life with Footnotes. Then we will have a general book chat. And after that, we will deep dive into Last Days by Adam Neville. Because it's spooky season, y'all.
Spooky!
I'm probably gonna die, so sign in for the death of me. Love it.
Just so everyone knows, Adam Neville, my deep dive pick, wrote the last horror book that I wrote. I wish. Anyways, the last one that I read. And within the first 50 pages, I was too scared to go outside.
I don't even. So... All right. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. And it's time for us to go now. But on our way out, we wanted to let you know, only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you.